Hello everybody. Hi, how are you guys today? Hello. And welcome to another Rodgon video. Today's topic is going to be something that I just experienced a couple weekends ago. And it's the beauty of conventions. So that being three of the more popular ones, at least here in the West Coast, are Comic-Con, CTNX Animation Expo, and DesignerCon. These deal with three different aspects of our industry. Comic-Con, obviously comic book art. And how do you get into that industry? A lot of movie industry too. And a lot of studios that deal with that sort of stuff go to Comic-Con. CTNX is all about animation. How to get into that industry. It's a big networking party, essentially, the whole weekend. And it's filled with a bunch of students and a bunch of workshops and just things that you can do to improve yourself as an artist. That's not necessarily what Comic-Con is. Comic-Con doesn't really gear itself towards teaching new students. It's more there for consumerism and to showcase new stuff coming out. CTN is essentially that. It's just there for recruiters and animation studios to find new talent. And then we have DesignerCon, one that I just barely went to, and I've heard about it for the last couple of years, but I've never actually attended. DesignerCon is essentially a big artist alley. So it's pretty big for what it's been expanding considerably the last couple of years, apparently. And this time around, it was huge, and it's all filled with vinyl toys and designers of that sort of stuff, like Kid Robot and other, cool vinyl toy things. I don't really know them. I love them. I just don't know that many of them. And there was a lot of individual artists mixed in with everybody else. So, and it's also based on consumerism. So people go here to sell. To this one, they go to find work. And then Comic-Con, a little bit of both. So I'm just going to start drawing, and then I'm going to be talking about these topics. Okay? So, not really sure what I'm going to draw, but I'll just keep my main focus on the conventions right here. So, Comic-Con. Let's talk a little bit about that one first. Comic-Con. Well, Comic-Con is a convention that happens here in San Diego, in California. And it's geared towards a lot of comic book lovers in general. Back in 1992 or so, it used to be a very small convention. I mean, a lot of, comic book industries used to still show up and show some love. But, I mean, it only cost $10 or so to get in. It was relatively affordable, and people didn't really pay much notice to it. So a couple years after that, I believe, it just started dwindling down, and they'd almost got just completely eliminated from San Diego industry. And then from what I noticed, a lot of movie studios decided to start actually showing up, and they started putting a lot of money into it to promote their new movies and all that sort of stuff. And that just made it boom once again. They turned it into nerd culture, which is awesome because I am a big fat nerd. But, it doesn't do anything except, if you're in the creative field and you go there, expecting to network and find a job or like show your portfolio to somebody that might be able to hook you up with something. It's not really the convention for that. I mean, you can still sign up for portfolio reviews and you can still do a fair amount of networking, but you're better off just enjoying the con for what it is. Panels and games, and I mean it's a huge convention. But I mean, I just have never seen anybody get anything out of it as it comes down to the industry stuff. So I tend to just see it for what it is and just enjoy all the new like nerdy things and comic book stuff and the new trailers for movies and the new trailers for the action, like comics and the cartoons and stuff like that. Everything that's going to come out that's going to be relevant in the next year is probably going to be showcased in Comic-Con. So that's what you go there for. There's a bunch of cosplayers, there's just a bunch of different cool stuff. So as a con, it's an amazing con. But if your goal to go to these things is to actually find a job or find someone that can help you get a job, it's probably not going to be the place that you're probably going to do it in. I mean, nothing's impossible, but I mean, you can always set up your own booth in Artist Alley, and I mean, I have no idea how long the waiting list is for that and how expensive it must be. But, small industry press, has its own little section, so you can always just, do that. If you're actually really passionate about comics, if you have a web comic or something like that, that might be like a fun way to break into it. So, okay. That is Comic-Con, and if you've never experienced it, it's actually, it's pretty cool. I mean, if you don't mind the smell of BO and being around really nerdy people, which I normally don't because, let's face it, I'm one of them. Not the BO part, but, the whole nerdiness aspect of it. So, let's mark down Comic-Con as this. And that pretty much explains most other conventions like, like GorillaCon or, Anime Expo. No, not Anime Expo. Like, I don't know, Fanime or anything like that. It's just all geared towards one single, industry. Be it anime, be it cartoons, be it comics, and then they just blow it up and they make a big party out of it. So, next one up. CTNX Animation Expo. Personally, one of my favorite conventions that I've attended to in the last couple of years. The reason that I say that is because, and I already don't like conventions as is. I'm not a big, huge fan of conventions. I love what they bring to the table. I just don't really like being around people all that much. So, CTNX, it's essentially a whole weekend of just kind of borderline pushy and forced networking. What do I mean by that? Well, the whole time that you're there, you will be confronted with art students from all over the world. And I don't say that lightly. I met people from Denmark. I met people from Germany. I met people from Australia. People make their way here from all corners of the world just to attend this. And I found that fascinating because I was complaining that I had to do a 3-hour drive. I was literally like whining. Like every year it's like, I have to drive 3 hours. And then I meet these people that are so passionate about the industry that they came from all corners of the world. Some of them had to drive like 8 hours just to get to an airport so they can head out. It was insane. Like, I felt like such a, well, pardon the language, but I felt like such a bitch. You know, like, I wish that my drive had been that big when I was a student. Maybe I would have ended up like, you know, with a different perspective on the actual career. But, you know, I discovered this a little bit later into my career, and I had different, you know, outlooks on what I wanted from the industry. And the beauty of it, of going to these cons as being me, is that I don't go to these conventions to actually profit. I'm not going to these conventions so I can find a job. You know, I'm fairly happy with where I am. The design firm that I work for, and they treat me well, pay me well, and alongside all the freelance work that I do, that makes it so I have absolutely no life, it keeps me very, very happy. And then, you know, it allows me to make YouTube videos and, you know, all these other little things that allow me to express myself, which you can't always do if you work for an animation studio. But let's continue on. Oh, this whole weekend, the first time that I went there was eye-opening. Because I don't think, I had been there to conventions like Comic-Con and, you know, Fanime. I think it's called Fanime, which is just like the anime one. But I've never been surrounded by so many people that adore animation. Like, I mean, I'm a big fan of animation. I watch everything that comes out. I'm normally up to date with all the like latest and greatest cartoons that come out, you know, but you meet some of these people and, oh man, they make you seem like an amateur. They know the voice actors, they know, you know, everybody in the closing credits of everything that has ever came out of every single studio, and it's just like, whoa, like, that's so much information that I had no idea existed. And on top of that, like, the whole place organizes the event, so there's a lot of workshops and panels and competitions and, you know, just demonstrations by pros, talks, one-on-ones, meet and greets. Whew, it's like, it was really overwhelming the first time around. Like I wanted to just do everything, you know, and then I would just randomly go up to everyone that I met and just ask to see their portfolio, and everybody was super excited to show it because obviously they hope that, you know, somebody's gonna acknowledge them for what they do and then maybe get them a job or something like that. But the only problem is that a lot of these students that are going there don't really have realistic expectations of what they can actually achieve in the industry with the skill level that they have or the experience that they have. So a lot of them go into it thinking that they're going to be able to get, you know, character design jobs or, you know, just like something that's unrealistic for what their skill level is. And, you know, trying to like tell them this, because I'm normally a person that's very upfront with people, and I try to like inform them of decisions that might affect their future outlook. And, well, let's just say that, you know, a lot of them get disappointed and once they realize the reality of their situation, but they also feel a little bit more motivated because they actually understand what they can actually achieve. Well, that first time that I actually went there was awesome because I took all the workshops and I took, you know, I saw as much panels as I could. I got to see some of my favorite artists, including Genevieve Tsai, which I absolutely adore. Like, she is by far one of my favorite artists. It's just ridiculous the stuff she does. It's awesome. And okay, this guy, not liking his cheeks. Boop. Oh, and the one thing that I've realized over the last 3 years going there is that if you are going to these conventions, because a lot of artists come from around the world as well to set up their booths. They come, they set up their booths, and they set up their, their art, and a lot of them are some truly amazing artists. But unfortunately, with how everything works over there, is that, okay, I'll just put this example to you guys. The basic ticket for all 3 days for this convention is close to $200. And then hotels around there normally charge about $150 per night, to stay there. Like maybe $100, $150. If you get an Airbnb, maybe a little bit cheaper. You're still paying a buttload of money for this. And then all these guys that are coming are normally art students that don't have much money anyways. They're there to see if they can find a job, not there to just purchase stuff. Plus, they spent all their money on their flights, or they spent their money on trying to get there, or just being able to, make the situation happen. And, well, let's just say that it doesn't leave much money in their pockets to, buy a lot of stuff. So, what you get happening a lot of the weekend is that, newbie artists, or people just barely starting out, will go up to these, booths. They'll buy, a lapel pin or sticker, and then be like, hey, man, can you give me a portfolio review? Yeah, man, hire me. When these same artists are the ones that are like, hey, man, I was in your situation last year, and I'm just trying to make some money so I can actually make a living too. So you find yourself in a situation where neither one really gets anything out of it. The person going there to sell doesn't really sell anything, and the person that is there to get a job or get a little bit more further in his career doesn't really achieve it, because it's just not something that most of the artists in the artist alley are willing to do. They're still trying to make it themselves. So that, I don't want to end the the CTN thing with a sour note. I got a ton of information and inspiration out of the whole weekend. Every single time I go, it's overwhelming. I come home wanting to do everything and absolutely anything that I can do to compete with all these people that are so much better than me. It's just overwhelming. The amount of talent that is out there is just insane, and I love it. It's so much competition, and I thrive on competition. I'm one of those, jerks that just has to step up to the occasion whenever I need to. And if I'm giving a situation where I am not the best person at doing something, I will definitely try my hardest to be that one person that is the better than everybody. I am that jerk. I think that mentality alone, I'll have to make a whole video on what your outlook should be while you actually try to push yourself as an artist with clients and with everybody else. And the fine balance between being an asshole and being just cocky as hell and being humble. And how that alone will land you a lot of work above a lot of other people. Sometimes it'll land you jobs that you have absolutely no reason to have, gotten. And sometimes it won't. Sometimes it'll look, like you'll come off as a jerk to people, and then you won't get shit. But I found in my situation, at least in my particular scenario, excuse me, that having a lot of confidence in yourself is not necessarily a bad thing. Not at all. Like thinking to yourself that you are the shit, while recognizing that you have a lot of room to grow in a lot of places where you could improve. That's the balance. That's how you communicate to people that you think you're amazing, and that's why they should hire you. But at the same time, that you can always get better, and you will get better, so that's why they should keep you close. And I don't know if it comes off like that in my social media, but that is the goal that I try to achieve whenever I either talk art with anybody, or I try to explain to people the importance of being confident, period. Like sometimes you just feel like your artwork is shit, and you know that deters you a lot from maybe trying to reach jobs or commissions or even your own social standing within the art world that you might want to achieve, because maybe you don't think you're good enough. But guess what? Some of the best artists that I know think like that. And it drives me nuts every time that I see a person with talent. And I have a lot of them in my life because I work with a lot of talented people. Whenever I see that they doubt themselves, and these are people that have skill levels, I'd say rival to mine or even bigger than mine. Whenever I see these guys doubt themselves and they're like, oh, well, I don't want to post my stuff online because, you know, it's not good enough, it's not perfect, it's not amazing, it just drives me crazy. It drives me nuts because they could be making money, they could be making fame, they could be driving, more people to their artwork. And you never know where that's going to lead you. And people with these skill levels, it's just ridiculous. One thing that I've gotten, probably the biggest thing that I've gotten from all these panels and all these workshops that I take whenever I go to CTN is that skill plays a very, very minimal role when it comes down to getting a job in the art industry. Yeah, it sounds ridiculous. It sounds ridiculous, right? It sounds absolutely ludicrous that skill would not play a big role. But it actually doesn't. I see tons of people that have made it big, or at least have made a name for themselves in the animation industry, that don't really have much artistic skill. Like, if you put their artwork next to somebody else, maybe you would just be like, oh shit, their stuff isn't that great. But, and this is a big but, like a Kim Kardashian but, it's not about the skill level. Like, I realized that after a certain skill gap set, like after a certain point, people are just going to be able to create artwork that's appealing regardless of anything you do. So what ends up being more important is your drive, your determination, and a lot of the times it's sad, but it's a lot of who you know. So if you're really shy and you don't like showing off your artwork, you're already putting yourself in a handicap. And that's going to hinder you for the entirety of your art career. Not putting yourself out there is one of the biggest drawbacks that you can ever do to yourself. And it's something that you're causing to yourself. It's not something that, you know, somebody else might be just better at you, like better at than you, that you just, you know, just can't get, or it's like an unattainable skill. No. If you are stopping yourself for whatever reason from showing off your artwork, be it online, be it like, you know, mailing it to studios or mailing it to whatever type of job you make, even if editorial places, publishers, maybe you're a writer, you know? I mean, if you're not putting yourself out there and showing the world what you can bring to it, there's absolutely no reason why anyone would want to pursue working with you, or why somebody would want to buy your idea, or somebody want to do anything with what you do. Think about it. It's pretty logical, right? If you don't put yourself, like one little saying that I love, I don't remember who said it, and I'm pretty sure it's somebody famous, and I'm gonna look stupid for not knowing who said it. But I follow this every day, and that's with anything. That's with work. That's when I, you know, used to like go out and like try to hit on girls, you know, or, you know, try to like get a date, or, well, that's girls too, and or just anything, you know, try to get a job, try to like beat a game, anything in general can fall under this. And it is, you miss all the shots you don't take. It's super simple. Like, it's so simple, it's just ridiculous that anybody doesn't just do this automatically out of logic. But it's true. If you don't put yourself out there, you're never going to get a job in what you want. If you don't risk it, you don't get the biscuit. Yeah, sorry, that was corny as hell. But that's exactly what happens. Like, if you don't get out there and show your stuff or produce work that people can see, no one's going to see your stuff, even if you're the best person out there, even if you're the best illustrator, the best writer, the best drawer, the best comic book artist. Whatever it is, if you're not the best, it doesn't matter. Put yourself out there, because you never know. Maybe the best person out there doesn't really show their work, doesn't know how to market themselves, so you can get, you know, jobs above them. I know that happened with me several times. I know that I interviewed with people that were much, much better than me, but my confidence and the fact that I can probably charm the pants out of anybody that I talked to in an interview got me the jobs over anybody, like people that were way, way more talented than me at the time. So learn to not be shy and show your work off. That is the one thing that CTN taught me. Well, I kind of knew that before I went there, but I just kind of clarified it a lot. And let's see, last one. Boom. Designer Con. This nifty little con that happens in Pasadena, California every year, oddly enough at the same time that CTN does, which is kind of annoying because I can only attend one every year, is essentially a big toy convention and toy and designer convention. So it's a lot of vinyl toys, a lot of t-shirt designers, a lot of artists that, you know, are trying to just sell their work. So people that go there and it's only like $10 to get into the whole thing. So people have money to spend. People don't go there to try to get a job. So everybody that shows up there normally walks out buying stuff. So if you ever want to set up a booth and you want to make money, a convention like this one would probably be better off for you. I went to scout it because, honestly, I was thinking really hard about setting up a booth at CTN because I just wanted to be a part of that, the inner circle. I wanted to be a part of like all those designers that put themselves out there. I gotta, give advice and maybe I could get something out of it. I don't know. Like I said, I was just gonna put myself out there. But then I saw DesignerCon and I was like, screw CTN. When it comes down to setting up a booth, I'm gonna set up here. And sure enough, I'm definitely gonna set up a booth for next year. It's cheaper to set up a booth. You're set up alongside like very, very, very cool places. Like I personally love Kid Robot a lot. And then, but they're all mixed in. Like there's no separate like pro panels or like pro sections. So it doesn't segregate like Comic-Con segregates their artist alley from everything else. So whenever you go, Comic-Con, it's like small press and then like the big studios and then everything else is just like mixed in, and if you don't want to see one of them, you kind of just miss out because you don't have to see it because you can just miss that entire section because it's not the important stuff in quotation marks important. But this convention kind of eliminates that. Everybody is set up at random in the whole staging. It's like 4 big rooms too. It's huge. So it's just it's a fun thing to do. It's just a fun thing to try out. If you're gonna go sell, go sell. You probably make at least your money's back if you have some decent stuff to show. The only thing it doesn't have is all the networking possibilities. I mean, unless you're into the toy industry, you're not going to get like what you get out of CTN. You're not, just period. CTN is made for that. So, I mean, a lot of people just pay the money to see that. Alright guys, well I am going to speed up this illustration so I can show you guys the finished one. But it was awesome talking with you guys. It's always a blast. Hope that you guys understand a little bit of the difference between these comic conventions. These happen all over the country. I know that I just gave examples of some that happened here in California, but conventions like this happen in all parts of the country. All you got to do is just find them, And if not, maybe make it out to California one day and experience them by yourselves. I guarantee that you will not be disappointed. Each one of them brings something really cool to the table. And I am pretty sure that you guys will have a blast, especially in San Diego, because you guys can come say hi and, come share a beer with me, go drawing or whatever. And I met a couple of you guys in CTN too. It was really, really, really cool. I got recognized a couple times, and you have no idea how awesome that was for me. But we're going to wrap it up because this is coming close to 35 minutes. And I don't like keeping you guys around that long because then the whole ranting thing happens and then blah. I'd rather just keep the information a little bit short. Alright guys, thank you so much. I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for everything. Like and subscribe if you guys enjoy what I do. Leave suggestions of what you guys want to hear about or want to learn about in the comments. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Alright, take care.